Okay, so both of y'all are on PCs. Wheels is also on a PC.
Yep. Okay, so, and you both have the latest version of the scoreboard, and the other thing that I suggested having was a tablet. If you don't have one, you're fine, but you'll have more fun with one. So...
And ignore our really messy.
Oh yeah, I'll have to hide that.
And
Nice.
join me.
So I was gonna kind of get a feeling of what people were interested in doing for what we could learn. I have some stuff prepped, but we can also just explore and focus on things that people really want to learn first. So some more advanced topics, so things that we weren't going to cover because I covered it in a previous video. We did like installing, just the basic score and timing, basic scoreboard skills, loading teams, communication, that sort of thing. So that is covered in the prior training, which is why this is advanced training. And Diamond was a little skeptical that we should really call it advanced, but just because we're not experts at this, but...
And we're not connected to the development
We're
at
not
all.
connected to the developers. We're just
super fans.
Fans and play with it a lot. But we're probably more into it than the average scoreboard operator, I would guess. So things that we could do is electronic penalty tracking and lineup tracking, so PLT. So that's where you go from having just the scoreboard to having the scoreboard with full digital paperwork in game. So you're tracking the penalties and lineups with tablets. So that we could cover how to set that up and run it. Adjustments during game is something that can be a little intimidating too. So score adjustments, like
time
editing passes, removing timeouts, changing things like that can be a little intimidating. So we can talk about that. So where things could go wrong, troubleshooting sort of. We can talk about just exporting Statsbook. That's fairly quick. We could also talk about like video overlays, like if we're wanting to do streaming and seeing like, well, what kind of setup do you need, that sort of thing. This is all part of the scoreboard. Or if you want to talk about preparing multi-game events, so if you're wanting to run a tournament and have like 3 or 4 games prepped, what is good to keep in mind for that? What's best practice? Or starting middle of a game. That doesn't take too much effort, but custom screens, I don't think anyone here is expert enough to go into that depth, but out of any of those, is there any preferences on what you all would like to learn?
Yes, all of that.
All of that.
If I could get my updated version isn't working, so I gotta figure out what I did wrong. So.
Okay. Well, you can definitely, if you want to. Did you open the scoreboard.sh?
No, she's on.
Oh, sorry,
Windows.
You're on the Windows. Yeah. What happened when you tried to run it?
Sorry, I had muted. I don't know. Hold on.
Okay.
Back over to the folder.
Take a minute. And I missed derby names for everyone. I know Bina already. What were your... Joanna and Chris, do you want to introduce yourselves? We'll keep it anonymous. That's fine.
They're just muted.
No problem. Oh, yeah. Well, why don't you, if you want to screen share for a minute, and we can fix your issue just so we can see what is going on. because I want to have it up and running.
Sure. Let me. I'm just gonna go back to the main folder once I had it unzipped.
Mhm.
So.
Hey, there's 3 of us here. It's Roland, Renandout, and Double Demons from Hard.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Welcome.
So you missed my little bit of intro that we wanted to have the latest scoreboard version downloaded, and ideally a tablet, maybe even 2. If there's 3 of you, that's great. And then I just was asking about what people were interested in learning. You know, you can look at the description to see the kinds of things like electronic PLT or troubleshooting, score timing adjustments, things like that, or even overlay stuff for streaming. Any of
Bina
that.
got us into an infinite loop.
No problem.
Sorry.
Okay, so so this is the unzipped folder, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you double click on the executable, what happens?
Which one is that one?
The scoreboard dash windows.
Sorry.
More info.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got the-
Force it to
Oh.
run.
I didn't get that far. That's why I wasn't doing it.
Okay, so once it initializes, yeah, now you can.
To start.
Mhm.
There we go.
I was missing one piece of it.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
So this is actually a handy screen to be on. Well, so on there, you saw there was a QR code. And if you have your tablets on the same network as your computer, you can go ahead and scan that QR code, and it'll automatically pull up the same web page. And that might be a nice place to start, actually. So
us taking a picture of this on tablets isn't going to do anything because we're not on your same network.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this was a handy feature they added
Just
a
add, like,
couple
2
versions
versions.
ago.
And that's the other thing is, you should always check for updates to the scoreboard. Don't use an old version. There's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, they're constantly doing bug fixes. Not that there's a ton of bugs. It's just they're very minor things that you may run across. And if you do come across things like that, you can report them. So we've reported a couple bugs they've fixed pretty quickly. And also they add new features that are great. It's the only scoreboard software that's maintained for roller derby, so it is the one to use, but it is fantastic. They really do an incredible job. So Hard folks, do you have the software up and running? Or are you just watching? It's fine if you're just watching.
Can you screen share in
I will definitely screen share.
in companion mode?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, were you talking to us?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm
do you
so
guys have the latest version downloaded and it up and running?
Yes, we do. Sorry,
Awesome.
we just got back. We were doling out food, and you guys are actually on a projector right now.
Oh,
Oh,
my
cool.
goodness.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Feels so special. All right. Excellent. So you have 2023 version 3, 2023.3. And what you can also do, I'm going to share a link with you all. So let me pull this up. So that you can do the exact same thing that I'm doing. We're going to jump into a game in the middle of the game, basically. So let me get to my folder. So I'll just share this whole folder with you all. So whoever's on the computer can just click on this link. And I guess your scoreboard, hopefully your scoreboard computer is on the same, is that the one you're using for the screen as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So then just click on that link, and Bina, you can click on there too. and the first thing you can do, you'll see a whole bunch of files there. There's a scoreboard 2023.85.json file. If you just right click and say download, you can just download that to whatever directory you like. And tell me when you're all good there. You can give me a thumbs up. Yay. Did everyone get it? Almost.
Okay.
I've got it downloaded. We're just gonna import it, right?
Exactly. Yep. Just import it. So yeah, if you have the scoreboard running already, just go into the games teams rule sets. Oh, and I will start sharing, screen sharing, so y'all can follow along. Let's do this.
Sets. File. This one. Okay, JSON.
Yep. And then you click open and then just say import JSON. And just a quick word about JSON files. So that is what the scoreboard uses to write to all the time. That's the file type they use. And so anytime the computer, like if it ever crashes or anything like that, the file is usually just fine. And as long as you can get it off the computer or restart the scoreboard software, it's totally no problem to shut the computer completely off, get disconnected, lose power, any of that stuff. You can always reopen the file. And most of the time you don't even have to import the JSON file. That's just if you're changing computers. So this is like an example of, let's say we were at a tournament and we were at halftime and we realized the computer just died. So we have to switch computers. So now we've transferred the entire JSON file with all our games onto your computers. And the way I did that was just click download all data, and that creates that JSON file. Okay. So if you've uploaded that JSON file, you clicked import JSON. Now you should see game 1, red versus blue, is running. So how are you, Bina? Where are you at?
Figuring out how to import it.
Okay. So did you get to, from this screen, click Games, Teams, Rule Sets under Manage Data?
Yeah, that's what I had missed.
Yep. Sorry.
And then choose file. It's okay.
Exactly. And then import JSON.
I can't import it.
Do you think I am the kind of guy who just has extra HDMI cables lying around? Yes,
I
do.
I messaged him and I said, I need an extra screen. Thank you.
There you go.
Can I connect to my other? I'm sitting in front of, I have 3 screens for work.
Excellent. So you chose the file, Bina, and you just clicked import.
Oh, were they talking about?
Yes, I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're imported. We're
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that time. So, well, I guess I'll call you guys Hard. That way I won't have to refer to each of your names. Because it was Hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all from Hard.
Okay, excellent. So I'll call you guys Hard, and then Bina is the one with her video on, and Joanna, I think, is going to just record and catch it later. But, okay, so I know Hard's up and running. So while you guys are waiting for us, can you go ahead and get your tablets onto the network as well? So you can go back to, if you just click back to the CRG scoreboard, and of course your scoreboard is going to have a different QR code. So don't scan my QR code because that won't get you anywhere. But scan the QR code on your computer.
Yeah, our tablets are already connected.
Excellent. All right. Have you guys done?
They have been doing.
You've been doing it. Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So we can and I'll
Have you
move along
guys
a little bit.
in your games, have you been using the electronic PLT or just lineups or just penalties? How have you been doing it
We haven't really been using our tablets. It's something that we want to
to start
try
doing?
out, get back to doing, because we
Yeah.
kind of had a staffing shift.
Yeah.
we had a change of head NSO, so we want to get back to using tablets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's really really nice. We've switched to even using it during scrimmages at this point. Great.
It's very nice.
Okay.
I have a quick aside question.
Sure.
I had heard somewhere, I don't remember where, that the use of tablets is not allowed during sanctioned games.
So
Uh,
the only positions where it is not allowed or at least heavily frowned upon is in box timing and as a jam timer. So those two are still in sanctioned games and in tournaments. You're going to Joanna wants to know what to open from the drive. Can you put that in chat?
Yeah, sure. The file name. Let's see.
So the box timing
This one.
and the jam timing will still be stopwatches in sanctioned games and in tournaments. But everything else can be the electronic. I think in tournaments, do they normally,
Oh,
have
yeah.
we seen paper backups even? I'm trying to remember.
Sometimes, yeah. If there's enough
Depending on staffing.
Yeah, if there's enough staff. But tournaments are shifting now to electronic as well. It's becoming pretty much the standard, I think.
And I think part of that is for the ease of being able to stream it, because WIFTA has been doing a lot of streaming of games, and if you're not recording penalties and lineups electronically, then you're missing a lot of data that could be pushed out when you're streaming.
The benefits are also nice because it also adds in a lot of data that your like scoreboard operator doesn't have to input.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so y'all have the tablets already set up and running, so let's just go into the scoreboard operator panel. And I put in the link, Joanna.
For the specific
that's
file.
the specific file link, so if you in the chat, you can download it that way too. On the operator, just so you're aware, you can have saved shortcuts for your keyboard shortcuts. So when you got the file that I shared with you, you also got my keyboard shortcuts under the login SBO. So if you use operator login SBO, then that will open up the same keyboard shortcuts that we use. Now, Diamond can show her keyboard. It's just simple stickers.
There's a picture of it in...
Oh, yeah, in that same drive directory.
Yeah, there are two versions. There's the version that Wheels and I use, and then there's also the version that Sawed-Off uses. At the like layout of the hotkeys.
I actually use a video game controller to do it.
Ooh,
Nice.
Ooh, I want to ask you about that.
That's relatively new, right? And
What's that?
I feel like that functionality for the scoreboard was relatively new, or was it always compatible?
I use a USB controller, and
Okay.
I have to use a program that I downloaded off of GitHub that takes button inputs from the controller and turns it into key presses.
Nice.
So it's still technically using the same key presses that the
Okay.
scoreboard would use.
So it's
which I
still
have-
mapping to a like fake keyboard.
Yeah, I actually have it mapped to the number pad, so I could use the number pad or the game pad
Yeah.
interchangeably.
Yeah, and there are definitely quite a few folks who like just the extra number pad. What is that, like a 16 button? And have
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I like all of the buttons, so I have a million of them.
So I went over to the scoreboard versions because in 5011 they added support for a gamepad controller. There was this one particular person who really wanted to use like an Xbox controller, and they got it working. I haven't actually gotten to use that yet, but I'm totally interested in that too.
Here, I'll send you what I use to translate my USB gamepad into.
Awesome. That would
There
be
you go.
great.
Cool.
And the
Yes.
only, oops, sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask a quick question. I should be able to use my phone as my extra tablet too,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
As long as
Yeah.
I can. Right. We're having issues over here.
You have
Told
two
technical
kids
problems.
in the house. How do you not have spare tablets?
They're all being used at the moment.
Okay.
Fair.
I wonder if I'll just take this down.
Awesome. So first of all, are you guys? You already went into the tablets with PLT, right? For hard people.
Yeah, we'll open PLT right now.
Yeah, great.
Do you want me to open it on one of ours?
Oh yeah. Well, I can also share on here just to point out what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you can click whichever team. Let me share this tab. So yeah, if you go into a tablet, you select whichever team you're operating with. And here we are. So like I said, this is in the middle of a half. And I wanted to have you guys do some troubleshooting. So let's say that they were reconciling things. I'm just going to give you some scenarios because obviously some issues can happen. So let's say that there was an injury in this very, let's say in the last jam, okay? So if there was an injury in the last jam, well, actually, let me see, what jam number are we on? Okay.
18?
We're actually, so jam 18 is the next jam. So if you look at the scoreboard, you can see that we were in 17,
Oh, I see.
but the lineups show 18 because they're getting ready for the next jam. So there's a person sitting in the box ready to go for the next jam. So that's why they're starting in the box. But 17 was the actual last jam that occurred. So let's say there was actually an injury and there needs to be a substitution in the box for the jammer number 13. Okay. So how, if you were to guess, how would you handle this? Any guesses?
The injury.
You'd click on you'd press the number of the skater
jam.
from 17,
Mm-hmm.
and
So click on
hit
their
the
number
sit up
down here.
button.
Yeah.
Do what?
So if you click on that number in jam 17, you click on the skater number who was injured and sit out next 3. That's exactly right. So if you click sit out next 3, right? So now we.
It's on red. Oh, it's on red.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can close this. And now you'll notice that there's a dash to say that she went into the box, right, during that jam, but then was injured, so she's sitting for 3. So that looks okay, but that means that she's not going to be in the next jam, right? So she's benched now. So you can just bench her. And now this, actually that's funny. I don't know why this went to unknown. That should still be skater number 13. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Close. Ongoing. So this is actually a good question for you too, Diamond. So I gave a scenario where at halftime, the jammer got injured, so she's going to have to sit 3, but it's halftime. So really, she could come back at the end, in the second period, potentially, and starting in the box. So if you had to get a substitute, right, then we would take her out of the box, right, and you would have a substitute in there. She still has her penalty, but someone else would be serving it. So you wouldn't have to necessarily, let's say that there's a new jammer, let's say this pivot is going to be going in. Let me go to the next jam. So now this jammer is going to be serving as, serving the penalty that was the substitution, right? So she's going to be in the box, but there's no penalty, right? So you can add that in here, and you can just put it as a comment to say no penalty. If you need more explanation, you can add something about, sub for 13, right? So that would be a best practice, I would say, is to have those notes in there. And I got to those notes by just clicking on the little box right next to the box. This blank column is actually a notes column. Okay. Does that make sense? So,
Yeah.
and also there's a little, you see this little red square? So that tells you that there's notes in there. Now it is interesting that it looks like it switched to a question mark on me. And I don't know why it's doing that. It's switching to no.
Instead of 1, 3.
I don't think it's supposed to do that. This is the kind of thing which could be like a minor bug that.
Mine isn't doing that.
Interesting. Okay.
Mine is remaining the same number.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'll play around with it and see if that's why that was occurring, if it's just me. So anyways, so that's a weird, bizarre scenario that you can handle the paperwork for. And yes, everything is clickable here, so you can add box trips. You can even add, before, after star pass, that sort of thing, really to get perfect paperwork. It's great. So let's go back to the scoreboard operator screen for a minute. And
you need to share that.
oh yeah. So if we go back to the scoreboard operator screen, if you scroll down, there's a red square of shame down in jam number 9. So if you look at jam number 9, does everybody see that little square?
Yeah.
Have you encountered that before, and how did you handle it?
When I scoreboard operate, I actually hit the add trip button as soon as they hit initial. But I've also gone in and just removed the notes from that box.
Yeah, totally. So that's exactly the cause, is if somebody awarded points, or that's really awarding points without having an initial trip is what that notes. I mean, that's exactly what it says. Points were added without add trip. So you won't get that box if you're really on the ball and hitting, you start the jam and then you award lead, and then you can just add trip for the other jammer as soon as they get out. Or you can toggle no initial. I think a lot of people think it makes more sense to add a trip to say you're starting a scoring pass. That's fine. But if you either add trip or toggle no initial for that secondary skater, you won't get that red square. Now, you can just delete the notes, and that will be fine. You can also hit insert trip. Okay, and if we hit insert trip, it'll add that trip, and then you can remove. Whoops.
I think you have to clear the notes now.
You have to still clear the notes. Okay, clear notes, and then it should be good. Over here in Jam 9, you can see there was a unknown skater, so you could rectify that with the lineups if you needed to. Now that suggests they didn't have it at all, so it probably would be on the scoreboard paperwork.
Or in video.
Yeah, or in video. That's right. So there can be little things like that. If you had a and also I wanted to point out that there's two different ways of editing the trips. So you can use this little edit thing, which you may have played with before, and you can add passes this way, or you can just click directly on the boxes, which was the old style to do it. So whatever you prefer, it's good to know. If I go back up here, along with the troubleshooting stuff, one of the other things that's a little trippy is if you click on the timeouts. So let's say you realize that actually there was a timeout that you had marked as an official timeout, but it was actually a team timeout, right? So you can click on the number and change whatever you need to be team timeout left. It was the red team's timeout, right? Have you all had to ever deal with this screen at all?
I have, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so everything is clickable, of course. Intermissions, this one's interesting. You can really potentially screw things up. If you click delete, you can delete all of your scores for period 1. That is the one thing that is a little scary, I've found. And I just found that today that you can mess things up. Now it is nice that you don't actually lose the penalties when you do that. So you could, even if that happened, you would have the score. You should be able to reconstruct, exactly. Now, I would recommend in that situation, if you have electronic penalties, take a picture with someone's phone. Just take a picture of them, just in case you lose them or whatever, and you have to restart. You shouldn't be down for very long, really, because anytime you go down, you just close the Java server, right, and
your browser,
and probably your browser too, and reopen it, and you're probably going to be fine. Or worst case scenario, you start a new game and you start mid game and you put in the values of points, timeouts taken, right, and you're good to go, the period clock. Hopefully you never have to do that, but it's good to know it's there if you need to.
And in that case, you would have potentially the 2 JSON files that you have to export to 2 Statsbooks and then rectify.
Right. Have y'all exported Statsbooks hard? I'm guessing
Yes.
you have. Yeah, okay. If you've used the tablets, then usually most people would have. But
well,
yeah.
And even just using it for scorekeeping, the score
Right,
of
yeah.
it,
Even if you're not using the tablets, it's still great to export the Statsbook as a starting point to put in all the penalties, because then you have score and you have lineups for your jammers. One thing I always remind people is always click update. I don't know why. It would be nice if it did auto update, but you have to update before you click download Statsbook, or anytime you're exporting anything. Here's a question. Have you used the non-skating officials and skating officials list here? And did you just manually type them in, or did you copy paste?
Done both.
Done both. Excellent. I was thrilled when they added copy paste functionality to these lists, because, right, if you are, going from a spreadsheet, so let's say your league has a spreadsheet that has a bunch of teams like this, and right, you have a bunch of teams and you have your officials here. Well, if you make sure that your officials are listed out with the proper name like this, And by the way, these are all ChatGPT generated names, so
Love them.
not using them. Yeah. But let's say penalty herder actually just goes by herd. So all of these, right, you can just copy and paste directly into the non-skating officials. Oh, yes. I'm going to go back to here. So I just copied, and I'm just going to paste into here. Okay. So now, even though I copied all of them, it just added herd as another person. It didn't delete penalty herder, but I can remove them. But it's nice that it even avoids duplication for the most part. I have run across duplication if you're trying to mess with the teams. You can sometimes have multiple duplicates when you're adjusting who's playing, but it's usually before the game that you catch these things, and it's easy to reset up. So.
And you said you have to have the right number of columns.
Yes, that's right. When I was playing around with this today, I realized that if you don't have the column for pronouns, so you can't copy. If you copy paste just these two, you end up getting the names in as the pronouns when you copy it into the. Now they may fix this in a later version or something, but it's just something to be aware of, that when you're copying and pasting, to make sure you're copying all of them. But it means that it is very, very quick to just recreate a new game. So if we go back to your scoreboard operator panel and go into the games and teams, right, you can pretty quickly create a new team and just paste those all in.
You're not sharing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Not sharing. Okay. So.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
real
please
quick?
do.
Going back to exporting the stats book,
Mm-hmm.
right? You said you have to go to the
Update.
IGRF screen, right?
That's right. So, yeah, from the scoreboard operator panel, let's see, in here.
Do I have to put something in that field, or can I just leave it blank? Maybe that's my problem.
The operator?
Yeah.
You can just leave that blank. It just goes to a default.
Oh, the one thing you do need to make sure of is that you have a blank stats book. Generally, I recommend just putting it in the same directory as your folder. So,
which I don't. If you just downloaded today, you probably don't have that.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because I'm like, I hit update, it's just saying no stats book.
Yep. So if you click on settings, under the settings tab, the blank stats book file probably has a red X next to it. Oh, it has a green check mark?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if it has a green check mark, it means you do have a blank stats book file. So go back to your IGRF and make sure you clicked update, which you said you did.
Yeah.
And then over here, does it say last updated and have a time?
Nope, it says no stats book. Yep. Last updated never.
It also depends on the speed of the computer, because our league computer is very slow and takes a long time to update.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, right. So sometimes
And it doesn't look like it's doing anything.
Yeah, they did add a little. At least on mine, it has a little wheel.
I mean, so you have a file path in your settings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have the green check mark, it's got to be. Well,
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't check.
It could be the wrong file. That's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it at least is a file. So like, if I put the wrong name, like if I don't have the X at the end of this, it turns red as soon as you click off of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll play with that later.
Sure. Oh yeah, and there's little custom features like colors and things like that, which I'm sure most people have figured out. Have you all started streaming yet? Hard?
No.
Okay.
No, the internet there is terrible.
Fair enough. Yeah, that is something that you have to have fairly good internet to do it, and you really need a computer that's good enough that can run something like OBS. But yes, the broadcast overlay is fantastic because it's just a web page. So if you're on OBS, you can just give it the URL for that web page, and it's pretty straightforward to set
I
up.
don't think the league's interested in doing that, are they?
I don't know.
I don't think
We're kind of building our NSO
Build the
staff
crew. Yep.
up from the ground up again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That's
like,
nice.
I'm the new head NSO and I'm, still trying to figure things out. We don't have a consistent regular scoreboard operator. 'Cause
Right.
That was our previous head NSO. So this is why we're trying to cover all of our bases.
Sure.
But it is something that I'm sure if we brought it to the league at some point, it's something they'd at least entertain a conversation about.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, and you can do it with a hotspot too. So even if you're not using the leagues, if you have a reasonable, I think it probably would use like 3 gig or something for a game of data. It's just something to be aware of. But depending on what your settings are.
And also, I don't know if you guys we didn't really introduce ourselves, but Wheels Boar and myself, Diamond Tiara, were with Patuxent and DC, and Bina is also one of the skaters / NSOs when she's injured, also with Patuxent. So we're like 2 hours from you guys, and at least historically, Wheels and I have come up and done quite a few games with you guys. So if you are
You guys
ever,
can be at Black Rose tomorrow, right?
we will
True.
be. All three, Bina, no, you're not going to be there.
I won't be there
But
tomorrow.
yeah, Wheels and I will be there.
We're all 3 of us are gonna be there tomorrow. I'm head NSOing tomorrow for Black Rose.
Oh, nice.
Hey,
Excellent.
do you want to do electronic PLT?
Well,
I will bring up everything you need.
so one of the games is sanctioned tomorrow.
I say do it. I mean, I could say, well, I would be happy to help, and I think
Frenchie would probably freak out with trying to introduce electronic day of.
so. One other thing to
It's so much
consider.
easier.
Exactly, that's my point as well. Is that
So much easier.
if you have people who are newer to penalty tracking, it's actually easier on the tablets.
Mostly on the lineup tracking side, because
Yeah.
you're not actually writing in the dashes and S's and
Right.
pipes.
Right.
Um,
If you're trying to get people to actually do this properly for a sanctioned game, it's going to be way better on the tablets. So there's
Yeah,
that.
that's one of the things I like French also have, a fair bit of anxiety, and my other compatriots here are like, well, duh, demons, tablet is easier. The concern that I had, and I'm sure you guys can tell me I'm wrong and alleviate this here, is the fact that I had concerns because a lot of people that I'm currently running in crews and that I'm teaching are very new, or they're fresh meat skaters, or
Mhm.
they don't have the foundation. So my, original thought process was, well, I want to get these people trained up on paper before I add in the luxury of tablets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the one good thing about sticking kind of brand new folks on the tablets is you don't have to actually train for those columns in the lineups. You also, on the penalty side of things, you get all the verbal codes. So you can definitely be a less skilled / lazier NSO. If you're on tablets compared to paperwork. But yeah, I understand the bit of anxiety also, and we, for PRD, we just did a league-wide training of skaters to try and get just sort of a basic understanding of the various officials' positions on the skating and non-skating side, just so that during scrimmages, or if we had a game where we were lightly staffed, we could pull in skaters who were either injured or benched or, for whatever reason, and have people have that very basic awareness. But we're just training them on tablets. We showed them paperwork, but I think the tablets are a lower bar.
So I want to ask also, for those of you who have the tablets in front of you, have you guys used it before in scrimmage or games yet, or is this tonight your first time using the PLT?
We've used it.
Okay.
We used it last year.
Many moons ago. We haven't used it recently, and we haven't really used it with any of the new crew.
Let's do it right now. So let's start a jam. So that way you can just get experience with it, just to see what it's like, right? So so your scoreboard operator is going to go ahead and
I need you.
Yeah.
You need to share your screen for the scoreboard operator. You're on the penalty track.
True. But actually I'm going to, okay, so I'll switch back and forth. So let me start here.
Trying to do something.
So we're going to go ahead and start a jam. Now, right now we're in halftime, right? So the scoreboard operator should first of all change the intermission time to be like, let's put 30 seconds on the clock. All right, so you set 30 seconds on the clock and you can start it. And this is just intermission, so even if it goes 30 seconds, it's not going to start the clock again. But just as a reminder, let's make sure that we are seeing what we expect, that we're in intermission, right? And we're coming out of halftime. So we're about to have our jam timer start the game. So let's go to... Now, if you're doing lineups...
I got blue. I don't do it.
Go ahead, was there a question?
No, they're
Okay.
figuring out what team they're gonna do.
Oh, good, yeah, red and blue, yeah. So, yeah, and go ahead and say, let's say we have a lineup spotter, and we're going to say that red is lining up. They have 13 is the jammer, 311 is the pivot, 311, and 13 is the jammer, pivot is 311, blocker is 66, 707, and 71. All right, so that's red's lineup, and
66, 707, and what was the last one?
71. I just did them in order. And let's say blue jammer is 101.
Because I switched games because I'm importing things.
Oh, did you start the game or no?
Yeah, it started. I was just trying to get my my key binding settings in, but I can do them later.
Wheels just had to try and find our dog who got let out by the children.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I actually got them back.
Apparently 6-year-olds don't actually close the door very well.
Didn't hold them in.
It's not bad.
Oh.
Okay, where did he leave off with you guys?
I think he gave us Reds lineup, but not Blues yet.
Well, I'm sorry. Let's go back. Let's do Reds lineup again real quick.
You got it? Do you have Reds
Yeah,
lineup?
Reds lineup. The jammer is 1-3, pivot is 3-1-1, blocker 6-6, 7-0-7, and 7-1.
I froze again. I told you it was going to happen.
Now it didn't start the second half though. It just put it in Jam 18.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah, because he mentioned that beforehand, and I was putzing about.
Oh shoot! I just
Let me
closed out my
do
whole
this.
thing.
Oh no, let's do
Oh god.
3 seconds set. Start.
So when you started the jam, it went into period 1 jam 18?
Yeah.
Interesting. Let me start my
Now
jam.
we're in period 2. Okay.
So mine
Mm.
started period 2 jam 1.
Yeah, because he set the intermission and then
Oh, so you didn't start the intermission.
yeah,
Clock
no, I
to
just
count
did
down.
it, and so we are now on period 2.
Okay.
Period 1 for me, so I
There
don't
we
know if I need to go out and then back in.
So if
I
weird
did.
stuff happens, you can always press the undo button. And that should, and then you can, with the clocks not running, try and
interesting.
adjust stuff.
There we go.
And then I'll unstart jam.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
Okay, awesome. Bina, were you able to are you slowly reopening your things?
Were you able to get your tablets connected or no?
I did not try. Wheels just had separate tabs open on our computer rather than the tablets.
Sorry, I was talking to. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Oh, Bina.
Bina?
Yeah, I have actually 2 tabs open as well because no, the phone is not working for me today.
You might have to check your Windows firewall on your computer. Because by default, depending on what networks you allow Java to connect to
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we've had that issue too with our home Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I can't figure out why though. So I have the scoreboard operator up in one tab. I have the PLT tracker for blue up in the other, but it's not letting me do anything.
So
It's not letting-
you have to.
That's a different setting in the scoreboard.
Did you start the jam?
I have tried to hit the orange button to go to next jam and it has not.
But on the scoreboard operator, like, did you actually start a jam?
Did you
I'm hitting the button. It's not doing anything either.
did you set in your scoreboard that scoreboard tracks lineups?
I don't think so. Did you find the dog?
All good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Where's my phone?
So they started jam.
Yeah, but Bina isn't. Where's my phone?
I have a frozen. It's not doing anything.
It won't let
for
her
me.
start her jam.
My intermission is also highlighted green, and it has 1 second left as well. So I don't know if that's part of it, but
Yeah.
How about you share your screen for a sec? And you guys, hard folks, just keep practicing. Do a simulated jam as if you're just running a normal jam, just to see, refresh everything. You can call lead and all that.
Just press buttons at random.
so you see that I have both up.
Yeah, so this looks fine. So you click Start Jam.
It doesn't do anything.
Okay, hit refresh. Give it a second. I'm thinking, okay. All right, so that looks okay. Go to the intermission clock for a sec. Can you click on the clock? Click on the time. Hit start.
Well, she has to put a time in first.
Okay, yeah, let's put 5 seconds. Or sure. And set and then start.
Oh, I didn't update it to 5.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I would close your Java and reopen it. Can you click on your Java down there? Yeah.
We just did that.
Okay.
I'm on multiple screens now, so you don't see it.
That's no problem. Okay, so you just restarted the Java client. The server.
That's a good, there we go.
Yeah.
Aha!
Great. So that's
Good to know.
Yeah, this is a great troubleshooting experience, right? So if ever something freezes like that, that is like kind of the first troubleshooting step. It doesn't happen very often. I'm honestly still not sure what caused it. You know, it can definitely be Java side issues. It can be computer issues. But even with that, it's still not usually that hard to fix. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. So with that, who was our blue jammer? Or am I in blue? Yes.
I already forgot. I think I said 101.
I put in random people on blue. Sorry.
Oh, you did. Okay, good. That's fine. Yeah, you can play around with it and just do a simulated jam. I do really like the other update they did of adding the gray shading for previous jammers and pivots. That was a nice feature too. Okay, so how are you all doing over there in hard? Things working for you okay?
Yeah, we're beat bopping.
Nice. Excellent.
Sorry, I keep slowing y'all down.
No, you're good.
It's okay. We just wanted to jump on just to learn anything we could or just get practice.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean that honestly half of it, if not more, is just playing around with it, right? And not being too intimidated and playing around with it when you're not in game, right? Because being familiar with it when there's no stress of everybody's waiting for you because it's a timeout, right? That's half the battle. I remember starting a game, and here, I'm just going to go to a new game for a sec. I'll just go to a prepared game, orange versus red. So imagine I'm a fairly new NSO doing the scoreboard, and I got everything lined up. I put in my key controls, all right? So I got start jam, and I got everything lined up. All right, I'm ready to start the game. Jam timer says 5 seconds, tweet, and I'm hitting this keyboard to say start. I'm hitting the button, and I'm like, it's not starting. It's frozen.
I did this at hard earlier this year.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know if it was last year or this year. It was one of you guys' first games back.
And then
you have to do an immediate timeout to do
you
the
have
clock
to do an immediate
fix.
timeout, and you're like, I don't understand why my keyboard's not working. And so, of course, everyone who's looking at this screen knows exactly what's wrong, right? What did I do wrong?
You didn't get out of key bindings.
Exactly. I didn't uncheck edit key bindings. So it's like totally user error most of the time when there are screw ups. There are some cool features that have been added even recently. So like use score adjustments is a cool new thing. So that you can adjust score without having to like because if you want to say in the last jam that there were 3 points in there, but now you also need to stop the jam or start the jam. Now your keyboard isn't working anymore, right? Because you have this overlay. So the idea for the score adjustments is, okay, I want my keyboard shortcuts to still be working, but I had a correction in the previous jam that there was a 4 points, and I don't want it to affect the current jam. I just want to add it to a previous jam. Well, you can do that now, and you can say, okay, well, it was in this previous jam in jam 1, and I can just hit apply. Insert trip there. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, no, I've had that happen.
Remove trip.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting.
If you click the no initial, so
okay.
So do an X.
Do an X.
Yeah, close out of there and
toggle.
Yeah.
Close to Insert trip.
That's what I figured happened.
Yeah,
is
there,
it
insert
ended
trip.
in-
Yeah. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah,
But-
that's awesome. I haven't played with that at all.
Yeah, so it's a way to adjust the score, you know, because there was an adjustment, but not actually have to have a timeout because now your pass.
Well, and you're not allowed to, right? You need to do it while this jam is still on.
That's
if you have
right.
adjustments to jam 1, you have to do it before this jam 2 is over.
Right.
You don't have the next lineups.
Yeah. Yeah, which is of course why in the other games, so if I go back to and you can go in and out of games if you weren't aware, you can jump back into a game that's running. And so if I try and adjust the score back here and I want to say actually there was no points in this I screwed up as a scorekeeper somehow, and this is actually a 0. Well, you're not allowed to change the official score, right? So when I say 0 in that trip, it's gonna put it in as a score adjustment, and it's not gonna actually change the score at all. It's gonna have a score offset, and it's supposed to do that, right? That's based on the rules, which by the way, you can change the rules, right? So if you go into the rules, you can adjust anything you want in here. I strongly recommend doing it in the under the index here. If you go into games rule sets, adjust the rule sets here because first of all, you can use the parent of like WIFTA and then adjust it from that way.
Yeah. Like sometimes we would do 20-minute scrimmages instead of 30.
Yeah,
Right.
and like the intermissions, a lot of times you want to change the intermissions to be just 5-minute intermissions. By the way, this is like if there was more than one intermission, so this 60 doesn't matter at all.
It's between
Um,
games.
I don't think you're showing us what you're doing.
Oh,
right
sorry.
No, he's not.
Thank you. So I was just pointing out in the in this is from the games teams rule sets thing. You can create a new rule set based on a parent of WIFTA.
You're still.
How am I not? Oh, because I keep changing the tabs constantly, like dozen tabs. But anyways, in the duration, 15 minutes here for the. A lot of times you may want to adjust that and say 5 minutes. I think this is for second intermission, or you think it's between games?
I think it's between games.
Okay, so maybe there might be 15-minute between games. A lot of times you would change the timeouts as well. So like DC would sometimes do where teams only have, let's see, they would have 2 periods and they would have timeouts of, where's the number of timeouts? Is that our teams? Team timeouts. So they would only get 1 timeout per game, maybe even no official reviews because we're perfect, and you can call that your fast
Script.
games, whatever.
So we could have done something like that for Stronger Things.
Mm-hmm.
We did that when we did our Greece scrimmages.
Yeah,
We had 3 different games.
yeah, it's really helpful to just have that rule set built in, and then when you go into your games, then you just change the rule set. So like, let's say you even have a prepared game in here, then you just change what rule set you're using to be the fast game rule set, right? And then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you haven't used it, this Sheets tab is also kind of nice for rectifying things if you are doing paperwork. So if I'm going into one of the games that has completed sheets, right? So the penalties here are also clickable and editable, right? So all of this stuff is just another way of correcting things.
Yeah, I guess you could edit it in here before exporting, right?
Yeah.
what we did earlier.
Nice.
That's next to the can't remember name.
Probably. Oh, that's no pivot.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the no-
Sorry, I'm bouncing around a little too fast. Let me go back to. We're looking at.
Yeah, that second column is no pivots.
Oh, this one, yeah, NP, no pivot. Star passes. Best practice for star passes. I was thinking about. Because you can do it. I think the scoreboard operator is the
do
most common place to do it. You can do it, I think, from the lineups as well.
I don't know if you can.
The star pass button.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Is it in that like notes column?
Where is it?
It's between
Box, you got the SP.
yeah. You just
Is
hit the SP
that
after
one?
box.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah, it's
only
just a
hit
little
it? Oh, when
toggle
you
right
did hit
there.
it. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
So I guess whoever catches it first, maybe, but you can definitely accidentally click it twice.
For
The first
jam
jam.
one as opposed to the second.
I think it's still probably best practice for the scoreboard operator to do it because if you are accidentally multiple toggling it, you could impact
Stats, maybe.
well who gets assigned what score, right?
Yeah, one person could turn it on, and then the next person turns it off.
Yeah, and then if you've already got a scoring pass for the new jammer, then that would drop back down to the original jammer.
Yeah, and it that's something that a good jam ref would come over and just confirm who got the points if it was ever ambiguous. And if it wasn't ambiguous, then the scorekeeper ideally would be confirming who those points went to.
Yeah. But once you've hit it as a scoreboard operator, you don't really expect someone to unclick it, so you might not be looking down at the row.
Yeah, potentially not. I mean, it's so bright and green when it's working properly that I feel like you would notice if it wasn't on. But
but like
maybe
put
not.
it on and then do a scoring pass.
Okay, so we're in a jam. Good. 4 seconds left. All right.
Okay, now unclick the start pass. Yeah, so it went back to the other jammer.
Yeah.
So like especially if you had like a lot of scoring passes, maybe the first jammer got 1 scoring pass and then the other got 2.
Right.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
One of the things that I see, at least from our thing on the tablets,
Just change the points to after score pass.
yeah.
So who's getting credit for them?
Yeah.
Know what were you saying?
one of the things that I see on the tablet that we're doing here is I can tell in my penalty lineup area that what'd you do?
No, we're good.
That the other team has a star pass.
Yeah.
But then if I also do a star pass, it overrides that and puts my star pass in that spot.
Yeah, and that's what you should do on the Excel also. So when you're writing on the paperwork, you should never do SP asterisk until the end of the jam, right? You should just do SP and then leave it blank if it was the other team, because if your team got a star pass, it would be the same line. You don't create a second line.
Yeah.
So let's say you're.
What are you confused? I'm confused as to what you're asking.
Yeah, a line gets put in regardless because you keep track of your team's star pass and the other team's star pass.
Yeah, but if both teams have a star pass, you don't get 2 lines. It's just the 1 line.
Just 1 extra line, not 2 extra lines.
Right.
In what case would 2 star passes happen?
We just had one in the last game, actually.
You get tired.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tired or confused? I don't know.
I'm gonna have to think on that one a little more.
Hard versus Frederick.
Yeah.
Did we have one in the game before that too, where both teams like immediately lost the ability to get lead?
There we go.
Yeah.
Because they both put the panty on.
Yeah.
full 2 minutes. That would
Yeah,
make
and
sense.
like if you were lead jammer and you got a penalty and then you go to the box, there's no real reason to continue fighting, you know, when you get back out if the pivot is like less tired or something, you know.
Yeah.
I think one of the orange. I think one of Frederick in the last game had lead, and then just got stuck behind the wall of hard and just fucking took it off.
Yeah.
And passed it. And like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen it happen too. It's not super frequent to get both teams doing it, but it definitely does happen.
So I have a question of something that happened in some of the paperwork I was doing. I'll start sharing just so we can
Yeah,
see
sure.
this. It kind of relates to something when you were doing the score adjustments. Let's just do an entire screen. This one. Sorry, I just like the screen to share. When I did a game, and of course it's not gonna be in here.
No, is
It
it on?
should be.
Is-
It's on League laptop.
Oh wait, no, hold on. Data management. It's in here. I accidentally put in 8 points, so I missed a pass. So it put in 4 plus 4 points, and no matter what I tried, I could not get it to separate out
Fun.
those 4 points.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it there. Cool. Okay.
So, and it was on a star pass.
Yep. I can't delete the jam even if I remove all the points.
Yeah.
Because that 4 plus is still there no matter what.
Well, one thing I would love for you to do just before you start messing with it is download that JSON file and just send it to me or share it with me. Because that way I can play with it too. While it's in this bizarre state.
Oh, we're finished with this one, so we can do whatever we want with it. I actually have it downloaded. Okay.
Oh, good. So if you have the file downloaded somewhere, that's fine. We can mess with it, and you can, yeah, we can reopen it and play with it now for a minute. That's okay. I just want to make sure you had a copy
of the
weirdness because I love that.
Well, and you can definitely, you know, if you're part of the CRG Facebook group, you can definitely send them weird JSON files and be like, hey,
what happened? How do we fix it?
Yeah,
they would love it too.
Because often the first thing that they'll do is try and recreate whatever error we claim to have, right? And then fix it based on that.
So what happens if you click on it right now? Okay, so it's showing 4 after the star pass.
I think I might have clicked on the wrong box.
And what did
No.
What did you want it to look like? Should it have 4 scoring passes?
There should be 3 4s. There should be 3 scoring passes of 4.
Okay.
So what if you click on the edit to the left of Jam 16? Okay. Interesting.
Can you click the X and then add 4? Because you don't want the 4. Yeah.
Interesting.
And if you hit add.
So we want those 4.
Yeah, and you can add all of those, but you can't delete. Star pass on initial. Uncheck the star pass on initial.
There you go.
Add.
I did this too, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so if you add another
Scoring pass. But now our 4 points plus star pass went up there.
What's wrong? Oh, I see. It went up there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was literally scrubbing through the JSON file trying to find where this plus 4 points
yeah, you
existed.
shouldn't have to go that far for sure.
Yeah. And you can't delete all of the scoring passes?
No, because I can never get rid of this 4+ right here.
Interesting. So what can you just click X on them? Interesting.
4 plus no initial. So uncheck the no initial now.
Oh wait, hold on. What's this? Oh my goodness.
Woo!
Close.
So
There it
Nice.
is. Yeah.
I clicked on the no initial box for that though.
But
That's
we
weird.
still need to add our star pass back because we
Yeah.
want all of these trips to be with the new jammer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, drop
and then
down.
You can drop it up and down. Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Wait, what happened just there?
What?
You click no initial.
Absolutely not.
Well, the nice thing is we have this recorded.
Can you
so-
click? Yeah, just the close.
The close, yeah, and then there we go. That's wacky.
Nice. Yeah, so okay, what did we do? We X'd out of all of the scoring passes,
Well,
and then we also clicked on the no initial.
yeah, I don't think the Xing out of the scoring passes.
Was necessary.
Yeah.
No, I think we just needed to click
That.
here
That.
because for some reason it was adding points on the initial.
Exactly.
or
So
something.
points were awarded on without marking no initial, is what had to have happened, right?
Yeah.
Which is an easy thing to do.
So right now, if you plus 4 points to the left.
Because that
yeah.
see how it says trip initial, Jam 16 trip initial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Add points there and see if we can make it do
yeah,
the 4
I
plus
bet it
4.
will.
yeah, it is.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's intended behavior.
Well, but it's still like it's confusing
It is
behavior
confusing.
to a scorekeeper and scoreboard operator, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the initial path technically counts as trip 1.
Yes.
as-
Yes, it is
which is
trip
what the
1.
paperwork already says. 'Cause
Yep.
I'm a dumb.
Yeah. No, that is fun though.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad that looks better.
Yay.
That's wacky.
Wait, did your scorebook? Did you fix that in the export we did today?
Yeah.
No.
Export it
Not
again.
unless you fixed it, because
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's easy to overwrite in the Excel sheet, right?
Yeah.
When you actually have the
Did you
stats
send
book.
it or? Oh wait, no, you didn't send it anywhere, right?
I mean, I sent it to Beast.
Okay, that's it. That's fine.
If they come after me, they can come after me.
We were doing stats books before we did this.
Nice.
Good. Good. Excellent.
Trying to catch up on some backlogs.
Well, you've had Derby all day, and oh my gosh, you're gonna have no more stats books to do.
No,
What are you
we
gonna
still
do
have
with all
more
your
stats
time?
to do.
We've still had to do quite a bit of rectifying
It's
with
like-
video.
20 minutes of rectifying compared to like 2 hours of
That's
data
true,
entry.
yeah.
It's a world of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing. Thank you for helping me figure that out because that thing bothered me.
Yeah. We're always happy to see a puzzle. Okay, well, this is probably a good time to stop then. I think we've covered a lot. I know it was kind of meandery, but it was fun, and thank you all for the time.
And hard folks, we will see you tomorrow. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to be jam timing. And are you OPRing?
OPR, yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun. I'll be there. No, I'm jam repping, aren't I?
I
I
don't.
thought you were OPRing the first game.
Yeah, I might be OPRing the
I
first
think
one.
these are your other 2 OPRs.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
And then I'll be, I think, penalty wrangling for the first one and tracking or wrangling for the second one. I don't know. We have doubles, I think,
Of
Like-
folks.
2 lineup trackers, 2 penalty lineup trackers, and a penalty tracker.
Oh
I
my
don't think
goodness.
anything's on tablets. But
Well, we can bring tablets if you have extra bodies and want to play with it. You know.
We have 2 tablets and an extra scoreboard projector if you
Yeah,
want.
we've got 4 here that we could bring.
Got
but
loads.
it's
You're
all
covered.
between you and French.
Yeah.
right, I can talk to French if they're still up. Tablets still make me nervous, but I am feeling a little better after tonight. I think maybe for the regulation game,
Yeah.
That's
it
an
would
idea.
be a good time to play around, but for sanctioned, bring on the paperwork.
Yeah.
One other thing I was going to mention too is if you're worried about spotty internet, just set up a little router. I have a router too that I carry around just in case.
That's
That
what we do.
you know, then you're not even online. You're not worried about updates coming onto the computer or anything like that. You just run a local network offline, and you're good.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll bring everything with us, and if you want to use anything, it's cool. And it helps having a lot of people who are nerdy and can troubleshoot at once together. Because that's
Yeah,
the
we're
other
not
scary
hard.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
If something goes wrong, no.
We'll
panic.
bring our nerds.
That's
Yeah.
me on nerds.
poor Bina, both of us were gone for one of the games, and we left you with tablets. We left you with all the equipment, and you set everything up. It worked,
Figured
right?
it out. I figured it out.
You didn't
That
do
was-
streaming that game, but you got everything else working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am one of the new ones, and I at default because of injury. So yeah, I mean, it's not as scary as it was, but still a lot to learn. So I understand where you all in Heart are coming from. There's a lot to learn, but it's a way for me to be involved without skating. So I'm happy to be doing this.
Is there any harm in for the sanction game, since we have so many people setting up and also running tablets? Like, would it?
Both do it. I think that's a great way to do it. Yeah.
I mean, as long as you don't have a person on the tablet who gets into the scoreboard operator page, as long as they're staying on the PLT pages, they can't really impact much.
And actually, there's even some cool like security now that you can adjust write protection and stuff like that for what.
For
But
who can do what.
honestly, it's not a problem. You're not gonna have the issue with people messing with the score or anything. But
Doing a risk management on insider threats.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, and if the folks doing the electronic stuff just stop doing it, it also doesn't impact the scoreboard operator. They can just, it just won't track once they stop.
And if there's paper copies already, then doing it
Yeah.
in parallel is not going to break anything.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing to consider too is it does make the scoreboard operator's job easier.
If the
And-
lineups can get.
And the scorekeepers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the lineups are, even if you just have someone doing lineups, not even penalty track. I don't know. There's a lot of, like you said, I
Variations.
mean, doing it with the regulation is probably a great way to
Get your feet wet.
get
Yeah.
confidence. So, all right,
Yeah.
well, we won't keep you up anymore, and thanks y'all for joining us.